What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 envelopes that I recently got back. 2 of them are postmarked from North Carolina, so I got a feeling where we're going with these. The other one I'm not too sure on, so we may get a different sport here, but I think we're going to have a racing theme today, so let me just jump right into this. Alright, this first one is from, and this one's a rather interesting one, Felix Sabates, who is a owner in NASCAR, and he signed 4 for me, and as you can tell, his signature is really not too legible. So, I mean, that's kind of a lot of stuff going on there with his autograph. I'm not going to complain because my autograph isn't much better. Not that I sign autographs, but my signature's not really legible either. But, anyways, let me tell you a little bit about Felix Sabates, and then we'll jump into his career in NASCAR as an owner. Well, the cool thing about Felix Sabates is I'm going to tell you a little bit about this gentleman, and you're going to realize that he actually is part of pop culture from the 1970s and 80s. And that is what is so unique about getting this autograph. Well, at 25 years old, he started working for a company called Top Sales Company Inc., or TSC for short. Well, he would work his way through the ranks, eventually purchasing the company in 1974. Well, there was this little known video game console that would come out a couple years later. So the company that this gentleman owned actually was the start of Atari. So this man right here is a significant person in the video game industry just as much as racing and NASCAR. And we'll talk about the NASCAR stuff in a second. Right. So according to the Wikipedia page, at its peak, TSC became the largest, most successful manufacturer's representative company in the United States, with over $12 billion in sales. Well, in 2000, Sabates sold TSC to the employees that helped build the company. It doesn't say what he sold it for, but he said it was below market value, to reward the people that helped build that company. Going on to his other entrepreneur items, he purchased a yacht company in Florida, yacht dealership, I should say. And in addition to that, he purchased Hendrick Motorsports Research and Development Team from Charlotte businessman Rick Hendrick. The team would then be known as Sabco Racing, obviously SAB Company Racing. And its first driver was Kyle Petty. And according to Wikipedia, Sabates wanted to have Kyle Petty because he was such a huge fan of Richard Petty. Well, the Sabco brand would last basically up until 2001, where various drivers would race for Sabco. Some of those racers would include Sterling Marlin, Bobby Hillin Jr., Kenny Irwin, Kenny Wallace, Bobby Hamilton, Robbie Gordon, Wally Dallenbach Jr., Joe Nemechek, Jeff Green, and Ted Musgrave. Well, in 2001, Sabates decided to partner with Chip Ganassi to become Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates. And that is the current name of the racing team. Most famously, the most current driver that is with Sabates' organization is Kurt Busch. Sabates is one of the founding owners of also the Charlotte Hornets. He also was involved with bringing a World Football League to the Charlotte area. I just wanted to share with you the history of Felix Sabates, his contributions to not just sports in the greater Charlotte area, but also pop culture. And that's why I stuck these cards in the mail to him. To talk about these cards a little bit, I picked these up at a relatively cheap lot. These are really cheap to find. So if you can track down some Sabates cards, you can get them for pennies on the dollar. These shouldn't cost you very much. As a matter of fact, I might even send you one if you ask nicely to the right person, if you're one of my friends that is a frequent to my channel. I actually bought that hodgepodge of cards, and there was a crap load of these 91 Maxes in there of him. So the first person to do that, I'll send you a Sabates card if that's something you're interested in getting signed. So moving on. All right, so this next one, also from North Carolina, is a return from NASCAR driver Hut Stricklin on 1, 2, both McDonald's sets that I'm trying to complete, 3 on one of those 91 Max, and 4 on a Pro set. So he shared the same dead Sharpie of all the other NASCAR drivers in North Carolina. No, I'm just joking. It's just I have yet to receive a NASCAR return in blue Sharpie other than those Bobby Allisons. So anyways, Hut Stricklin. He was born in Alabama. He raced most of his younger career until he turned pro, obviously. His first race was in 1985 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, race as a pro, I should say. And he appeared in 54 races in the Xfinity Series over a 12-year period. And he also appeared in 328 races over the same period for the NASCAR Cup Series, until finally retiring in 2002 in the his last race, and I have to share this with you, ironically, is the 2002 Sharpie 500. So that must have been the place they handed out all the black Sharpies to the drivers. There you go. No, I'm kidding. But that's cool that Sharpie actually sponsored a race that year, being I'm an autograph collector. So a couple personal notes about Hut Stricklin. He is actually married to the daughter of NASCAR legend Donnie Allison. So I talked about Bobby Allison in one of my previous videos, but Donnie Allison is Bobby's brother, and he actually married Donnie Allison's daughter. So anyways, I guess that would make Bobby Allison his uncle-in-law. I don't know. I don't know if that's how you say that. So Stricklin raced for many different owners. Most notably, he did race for Junior Johnson, who just recently passed away this past year, actually. And he would go on to race for different racing teams after Junior Johnson worked with him. Finally, up until 2002, he raced for the Bill Davis Racing Team until he was finally replaced by Kenny Wallace at the end of that racing season. So in total, he never actually won any of the major events. He finished in the top 10 29 times in the NASCAR Cup Series, and he finished 8 times in the Xfinity Series, but he never actually won any of those races. So, over a span of a couple decades almost in racing, not a bad career. He was one of the top drivers during the era. It's just there were bigger winners, I guess you would say, than him at the time. And I'm very happy to add a couple more of those McDonald's autographs to my collection. All right, this next one is postmarked from Illinois. And unfortunately, it is a success and it's not a success, and I'll explain that to you here in a second. Well, these were returned to me unsigned from NASCAR legend Fred Lorenzen. I believe his name's spelled wrong on that card. However, enclosed was a note from, I'm guessing, Mr. Lorenzen's caretaker or family member saying he tried his best. Thank you. And he signed the protective index cards that were in the envelope instead of the cards, which I guess that's better than nothing. However, I would have rather had the card signed, but being the fact that he was using a ballpoint pen, I don't know how well that would have even showed up with those. So I guess, at 85 years old, I'm happy to get what I got back, to say it, to say the least. I'm happy that he made the attempt to sign those autographs, because you can clearly see that he struggled to just get those two things signed. So thank you very much, Mr. Lorenzen. I really do appreciate you taking the time to still sign an autograph request at 85 years old. So Fred Lorenzen was born in Elmhurst, Illinois, and I actually sent this request to Illinois. I'm not sure if it was Elmhurst, but he was nicknamed the Golden Boy, Fast Freddy, the Elmhurst Express, and Fearless Freddy. He appeared in his first race in 1956, and that race didn't have a title. I guess that was so long ago. That was before, I guess, they were getting corporate sponsors to name races for everything. His last race was in 1972. He had a career that lasted almost 20 years in racing. And his first win came in 1961 at the Virginia 500 in Martinsville, Virginia. And ironically, his last win would come on that same track in 1966. The thing that is most notable about Lorenzen is he was actually the first top money winner to ever break the 100,000 mark in racing. So he was successful enough to win consecutive races during the 61-66 time span to accumulate over $100,000 in earnings. Now I know today, by those standards, that's nothing, earning $100,000. And I'm sure they make that in a race, or more than that in a race. But at the time, that was a pretty impressive number, to break the $100,000 barrier in 1963. Overall, his career lasted almost, like I said, 20 years. He was given the most popular driver award in 1963 and in 1965. He was elected to 3 Hall of Fames: the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America in 2001, the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2015, and the USAC Hall of Fame in 2015 as well. He also, as I mentioned in previous episodes with race car drivers, was named to NASCAR's 50 Greatest Drivers. So here's one more that I added to my collection of the 50 greatest drivers in NASCAR. So in closing, I want to thank all of the drivers. Well, actually, Sabates isn't a driver, but I want to thank Lorenzen and Stricklin for signing for me. And I also want to thank Mr. Sabates for signing for me. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this for me, gentlemen. And I also appreciate the time that you, the viewers, view my channel. So I am going to stick to my words and say, if you want a unsigned copy of the Sabates card, be the first one to comment, and I will let the people know, who that person is in the comments below. And I will send you Mr. Sabates' address, so all you have to do is write him a letter and stick a envelope in the mail to him with some stamps on it, and hopefully you can get his autograph too if that interests you. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys viewing in for another episode, and I look forward to your comments below.